So tell me about working on Relax.
It was version 1, 2, 3 that I got involved in. I was asked to go and work for him for 2 days as an engineer, and I didn't want to do it. I knew Trevor because he played on jingles, and as I told you, my ex-partner was used to make jingles, so I'd met him a load of times, and then he'd become this big hit producer, and I was sort of bitter and twisted about it because why not me? Usual nonsense. And so when I was asked to work for him for 2 days, I thought, I hate his records, hate them. I don't want to do this. It's all nonsense. And 2 days, I'll do 2 days, and I'm not going to pay any attention to him at all. And it transpired he loved the fact that I just got on with whatever I wanted to do, and loved the fact that I could play guitar.
So he was a person that gave people freedom within the...
That's what he does. In fact, another thing I learned, which is weird because I'd worked for years with a guy called Hugh Murphy, who I'd known. He'd produced my brother's band, so I knew him from childhood, really. And because I had a studio and I knew him, I called him and said, can you bring some work to the studio? And we had a great time, and we made half a dozen albums together. And he lent on me all the time. Not lent on me, but I could do whatever I wanted, play, suggest stuff to the musicians. And I remember thinking then, hey, he's not producing, he's just sitting here. But of course, in retrospect, he was amazing what he was doing. He was recognizing that there were people in the room with good ideas that he was going to use, which is what Trevor did, and hopefully what most producers, at any rate, old-fashioned producers do. They utilize people's skills.
Well, tell me about the guitar then, because he utilized that skill of yours, didn't he?
Yeah, I told him I went everywhere with my guitar. It was just a guitar, with a pedal, no amps or anything. And so I had it in the control room. And after 2 days, we just kept going. And we were doing Relax. And then I think we were doing Ferry Cross the Mersey, and he'd gone for dinner. And I thought the middle eight, or bridge, or whatever the Americans call it, needs a guitar. So I just he wasn't there, and I plugged my guitar and did a guitar part in the middle eight. And he came in and said, "What? Who played that guitar?" And I said, "I did." He said, "I didn't know you play guitar." And I said, "Yeah, I told you I play guitar." And he went, "Great, okay." Next day, or maybe I think it's whenever, with that knowledge, he said, "Look, we're going to start again on Relax." And so JJ operated the Fairlight, Andy Richards was playing keyboards, Trevor had a Lindrum, and I was playing guitar, and we just did it. He had a rhythm. I plugged my guitar in. Engineering was irrelevant, which it kind of always has been for me. And off we went, and we came up with that version in a couple of hours, probably, very quickly.
It's amazing. I mean, the way you describe it is describing in a very collaborative way, which is how I'm a screenwriter today, and the film industry is very collaborative. And that's something that sounds very collaborative there, but that's without the band, or without I don't know who the ultimate person with the say is in that situation. Is it the producer, or is it the band, or the singer, or whoever you're working with?
You're talking about Relax.
Well, in terms of Relax, I think then it's clearly Trevor Horn, isn't it? He's probably the ultimate say so. But it can be in other terms. It can be the artist who has let's say they have a much higher profile and much higher status, and they can demand to have what they want. So how do you deal in a situation where the artist has a different vision to what you want?
I'm trying to think of an example. There are many, but I need to think of one where I don't stick my head in a noose. They're just ways of dealing with things. There was one record I made where I pieced the vocal together and the singer didn't like it at all and kept asking me to change it. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll change it tomorrow. Come tomorrow, I hadn't changed it. Have you changed it? No, I haven't changed it yet. And on and on. A week later, have you changed it? No, oh, completely forgot. Don't worry, I'll do it. And the, asking whether I'd changed it became a weekly thing and then a monthly thing. And then the artist was resigned to the fact I wasn't going to change it. So in a way, I sort of wore them out with, but that's one example. Another example is I'll change it, whatever you want. I think you're wrong, but I'll do it. Or have an argument or a discussion, whatever. I can think of loads of times when the artist got their way and were right, and loads of times the artist got their way and they were wrong. And the same with me. In fact, with Annie, with Walking on Broken Glass, she came up with a part that I thought was wrong because there was a clash of notes. And I kept saying, you can't do that. It's clashing. And she said, but I like it. And I said, yeah, but it sounds wrong. And she kept going, but I like it. And then, after toing and froing, I went, okay, you like it, we'll keep it. And of course, it's one of the hooks. So that another example, I suppose, was a record, Don't Stop Moving by S Club 7.
Oh, okay, I do know it. Yes.
Yeah, it was record of the year, this track, this song. And I had a thing about the vocoder. I hated the vocoder that goes, don't stop moving to the funky, funky beat. Don't stop moving to the S Club beat. I thought, this is so cheesy. It's got to go in the bin. We can't have it. And at the very last moment, while we were mixing, my engineer, Hef Moraes, who we worked together for years, I said, have you still got that vocoder? Yeah. Let's just hear it. And he unmuted it. And I went, God, we better put that in, hadn't we? And of course, that's the hook. And I was totally happy to throw it in the bin.
While you're working with Trevor, the track Slave to the Rhythm came in, I presume, because Frankie Goes to Hollywood, or Holly Johnson, recorded the vocal on that first, didn't he? And so what was the reaction to that? I listened to it today. It's on YouTube, actually.
Not very good, is it?
Well, to be fair on Holly, I've seen an interview with you where you said that his voice didn't work on it. But to be fair on him, the track felt a bit inadequate as well. Do you know what I mean?
Big time. Yeah. But they often tracks would. You need the vocal to get the thing going. It's chicken and egg, really. But it wasn't suited to them at all. It wasn't suited to Grace Jones either until it changed. That was what we ended up calling the German version. I don't know why we called it that. Very, very rigid, up-tempo, 4 on the floor version.
There's an amazing change between that Frankie Goes to Hollywood track and the Grace Jones version. So how did it get from that to Grace Jones?
Quite simple, actually. So that was Slave to the Rhythm. I think Trevor probably has, we've talked about this on occasion, has a different, he remembers things differently. But my take on it is Chris Blackwell loved the title because ZTT and Island Records were connected. I think they distributed ZTT. And so Chris Blackwell knew everything that was going on. Whatever he wanted to know, he heard about this he heard the title and said that would work really well for Grace Jones. And then he heard the track and thought, it's the wrong rhythm. You should make it go-go for her. And I'll book some musicians that I know in Washington, and I'll get them over. We'll book a week at the power station in New York, and you guys go over and record the song, make it go-go. So Bruce Woolley, who was one of the writers, him and Simon Darlow, he said, okay, yes, I'll do a demo. And he did this demo. None of us knew what go-go was. And we get to New York with this demo, and the rhythm of it was, it went, I remember it pretty well. It went dung, ga dung, dung, like My Jamaican Guy. You know, that it was that sort of rhythm. And he'd sort of made the song work over that rhythm. And anyway, so the go-go band arrived and was setting them up in the studio in record and push the faders up and hear the rhythm. And the three of us, it was Bruce, Trevor, and myself out at the power station, are going, oh my God, how are they going to play this demo? It's completely wrong. Anyway, we finished setting them up and play them a demo, and they're looking at us like we're mad. Can't play it. Have another attempt the following day. No, they went home. But we had this rhythm because the tape machine had been in record. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we looped a section of the drums where the guitar player had gone off to have a pee, drums and percussion. And we made this drum loop and wrote the song over that rhythm.
The thing
but it's the rhythm. It's the rhythm of the record. That is a drum loop with a couple of bits here and there. It's a 2-bar loop.
I mean, that was part of an album. But the
album wasn't really an album. It was us trying to get a better version of that version with some incidental bullshit thrown in on the way. Like me demonstrating a piece of software, that's one track. Bruce messing about with a sequencer, that's another track. Jill Sinclair's brother reading from Jean-Paul Goude's book, that's another track. It was just stuff. And us messing about, really. And then it took so long to decide that the version we already had was the best version, that it had to be an album because of the amount of money it had cost. By which time she was out of contract anyway. So the whole thing was a bit of a catastrophe.
So that actually didn't get released straight away, did it? I don't think. That was it came later because of that.
It was released, I think the single was released on Island Manhattan ZTT, 3 record companies. So no one was prepared to promote it. So it didn't really do much. She had 1 TV show, I think, or 2 or whatever. No promotion.
But it's one of those tracks that's become one of the most memorable tracks in music, isn't it? It's one of those things that so many people cite as one of their favorite tracks. So it's had a life of its own after that.
Yeah, kind of. It's weird, isn't it?